Math Lesson 19.4. Generate and identify numerical patterns. I can use two rules to generate numerical patterns. Write ordered pairs using corresponding terms and identify a relationship between them. Okay, so we have start at 2, multiply by 2. And then Connor's cards that start at 1, add half, then multiply by 2. So Antonia and Connor are playing a patterns game. Each draws a card and finds the first 5 numbers in the pattern. Then they try to find a relationship between the corresponding number in both patterns. So complete the table. So position in pattern. So there's starting, that's what each column is. Okay. So Antonia's number starts with 2 and then you multiply by 2. So 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16 times 2 is 32. Connor's number is, you start with 1 and you add half. Okay, so what's 1 plus half? 1.5. What is that as a mixed number? Okay, oh, sorry, I shouldn't have put that in there yet. Right, I forgot about that part. Okay, so it'd be 1.5, so that would also be what? 3 halves. So 3 halves times 2 over 1 equals what? This can simplify, so that equals 3. So 3 plus half is what? What's that? Is a mixed number? 7 halves times 2 equals 7. Okay. What is 7 plus half? 7.5, which is what? 15 halves times 2 over 1 gets us 15. And then 15 plus half is 15 halves. What is that? 31 halves times 2 over 1 gets us 31, right? Okay, so letter B, write the first 5 ordered pairs with the x coordinate representing Antonia's pattern and the y coordinate representing the corresponding numbers in Connor's pattern. So the things in the columns, right? Okay, so Antonia's first number was 2, Connor's was 1, right? Is that correct? Is that the right ordered pair? So basically they're saying this needs to be the x coordinate and this needs to be the y coordinate. Okay, and then of course when we do coordinate pairs, we always list the x first and then the y. Okay, so the next one would be what? 4, 3. The next one would be what? Okay, so what's my next one? 8, 7. What's my next pair? 16, 15. Okay, and what is my next pair? 32, 31. Okay, so does there appear to be a relationship between Antonia's numbers and Connor's numbers? So what is it? Okay, or Connor's is 1 less than Antonia's. Okay, so Antonia's numbers are usually 1 greater than Connor's numbers. And that is what we call a rule. Okay, their card score rules, so we did the same repeating thing over and over to get their next number. Okay, but then also you can have a rule going in this case from each person. Okay, step it out. Number 2, Nora and Hazel are playing a game. The game cards show either move forward 3 or move forward 6. Just by chance, Nora draws move forward 3 on her first 3 turns. Hazel draws move forward 6 on her first 3 turns. At what number on the game board is Nora after her first turn? So she moves forward 3. So where's she at? So Nora would be at the 3, right? Then what would she be at next? 6, and then at the 9. So her first turn would be 3, her next turn would be 6, and her next turn would be 9. You need to actually use semicolons here because we're putting an answer per question. Okay. What number on the game board is Pavel after his first turn, second turn, and third turn? So what was his? Move forward 6. So Pavel would be at 6, then he would be at 12, and then at 18, right? Oh, I put 18 by 18. Sorry. Okay, so what's our first one? 6. Our next one was what? 12. And our next one was what? 18. Okay, using Nora's locations as the x coordinate and Pavel's locations as the y coordinate, write their ordered pairs after each turn. So basically, we're going to keep everything in line, right? The 3 would go with what? The 6. The 6 would go with the 12. And then our next one would be what? 9 and 18. Does there appear to be a relationship between Pavel's location and Nora's location? So basically, we went from 3 to 6, 6 to 12, 9 to 18. So what did each one of those do? Multiplied by 2. 3 to 6 times 2, right? 6 to 12 times 2. 9 to 18 times 2 times 2. So our rule would be Nora number times 2 equals Pavel's number. Check understanding. Number 1, Erin and Joshua are writing number patterns. Erin starts at 1, and then her rule is add 1 and multiply by 3. Joshua starts at half, and then his rule is add half then multiply by 2. Use the numbers in Erin's pattern for the x coordinates and the numbers in Joshua's patterns for the y coordinates. Write the first 5 ordered pairs. So if we had Erin's, hers is add 1. So we start at 1, add 1, and multiply by 3. So she's at 1, add 1 is 2, multiply by 3, we're at what? 6. Okay, we'll leave a spot. Let's go ahead and just, we need to, how many is that? 5. Okay, so she's at 6, add 1. 7 times 3 is 21. Okay. Oh, hold on, guys. They want us to do it this way. Hold on a second. Okay, so we're going to put 6 and 21 here. They want us to do the 1 and then 1/2, like that. Okay. All right. So 21 plus 1 is times 3 is 66. 66 plus 1 is 67. 67 times 2 is 60 times 60 is what? 120. And then 7 plus 7 is what? 14. So 120 plus 14 is what? 61 plus, let's just do it. 61 plus, or 66 plus 20 is 67 times, oh, I was doing times 2, sorry guys, times 3. So 1 carries a 2. What is that? 201. Sorry, I was taking it times 2. Okay, now Joshua's rule is start with half, then add half and multiply by 2. So half plus half is 1 times 2 is 2. Okay. 2 plus half is 2.5. That would become what? 5 halves times 2 is equals 5 because the 2's cancel each other out, right? Then you're left with 5. 5 plus half is 5.5, right? What is that? Is an improper fraction? 11 halves times 2 is 11. Because the 2's cancel each other out, so you're left with 11. Okay, 11 plus half is what? 11 and a half. That becomes what? 23 halves. And then 23 halves times 2 over 1. 2's cancel each other out, so you're left with 23. Okay? All right. Number 2, Connor and Isabel do push-ups each week. On the first day, Connor does 3 push-ups and then follows the rule add 3 for the number of push-ups on the following day. Isabella does 1 push-up and follows the rule add 1 for the number of push-ups on the following day. They follow the patterns for 5 days. How many push-ups does Connor do on each day? So we do 3, then what do we do? Add what? 3. So 3, 6, what's next? 9, 12, 15. So do we have enough? Okay. Then Isabella starts with 1, and then what's her rule? Add 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Write the ordered pairs for the corresponding number of push-ups using Isabel's number as the x coordinates and Connor's numbers for the y. So this time it's reversed, right? Okay, so our first one would be what? 1, 3. Is that right? Yep. What's our next one? 2, 6. What's our next one? 3, 9. Next? 4, 12. And what's our next one? 5, 15. So you have to pay very close attention to what they want as the x coordinate and what they want as the y coordinate. Okay? So does there appear to be a relationship between the number of push-ups Connor does and the number of push-ups Isabella does? Yes. So you go from 1 to 3. We're going up, right? So that means it either has to be addition or multiplication. We go from 2 to 6, 3 to 9. What's our repeating pattern? Okay, so who does more? Connor does 3 times more push-ups than Isabella. On your own, number 3, you're going to go ahead and start recording this. If we run out of time, the page still needs to be finished and completed. So Zach and Eliza are writing number patterns. Zach starts with 1 and uses the rule multiply by 2, then add 1. Eliza starts with 2 and uses the rule add 1, then multiply by 2. Write the first 5 ordered pairs with the x-coordinate representing Zach's numbers, or Zach's pattern, and the y-coordinate representing the corresponding numbers in Eliza's pattern. So we need 5 pairs, right? So let's go ahead and do our parentheses for our coordinate pairs. Okay, so Zach starts with what? Because Zach goes in the y-coordinate or x-coordinate, right? Okay, so Zach starts with 1, and then he uses the rule multiply by 2 and add 1. So 1 times 2 is what? 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 times 2 is, plus 1 is 7 times 2, plus 1 is 15 times 2, plus 1 is 31. Okay. Are we good with that? Okay. All right. Eliza starts with 2 and uses the rule add. Okay, so she starts with 2 and then uses the rule add 1 and multiply by 2. So 2 plus 1 is 3 times 2 is 6. 6 plus 1 is times 2 is 14 plus 1 is times 2 is 30. 30 plus 1 is 31, and then multiply by 2 is 62. So what appears to be the relationship between Zach's numbers? So Zach's is less than Eliza's, right? Okay, and we're going up. So that means we either have to add or multiply, right? If they're going down, that means we have to what? Subtract.